Coming up on the official Celtic FC Podcast, we look ahead to Celtic the Musical, which returns to the Pavilion Theatre this September, as lead actor Keith Warwick shares his excitement about bringing the show back to the stage.
See, if I wasn't a Celtic supporter, I think I'd still have that mindset of this is incredible.
Yeah.
The energy that's generated.
Hello and welcome to the official Celtic FC podcast from the Pavilion Theatre in Glasgow. I'm joined here by Keith Warwick, star of Celtic the Musical. Keith, thanks very much for joining us. I've got to say, first of all, you're the best dressed guest I've ever had on the podcast for a start.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, there's only so many safety pins I can put on this waistcoat to hold it together.
We're here in the Pavilion. It's an absolutely extraordinary venue, and it must be such a thrill as an actor to be performing here.
Absolutely. I mean, I've played here many times with touring productions and with in-house productions, and the Pavilion is a jewel in Scottish theatre. Not just because of the atmosphere that's generated in here by the audience, but just things that, you know, I certainly didn't know that the roof is retractable. Right. So they can wind that back and you can see the stars. Doesn't happen very often. I think it's got something to do with the weather in Glasgow.
Probably. I was full of surprises. It's a stunning venue. We're obviously here today. We're chatting about the fact that Celtic the Musical is returning to the stage this year in September. You've been involved in 3 previous productions of the show. But how much are you looking forward to bringing it back to the stage?
Oh, absolutely delighted to be asked back. You know what I mean? It's because I'm a Celtic supporter. It's a true honour. I mean, it really is. It's also it's also good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, I know that lots of actors, when they're punting their shows, some of them don't actually believe that what they're doing is very good, but you know, they're obliged to say so. This is a cracking show. Yeah. It's absolutely brilliant.
And it must be great, obviously, for you as a Celtic supporter, but because I was going to ask you, you know, you've been involved in 3 previous productions of the show. Last time out, it was at the Armadillo down by the Clydeside. Now we're here, we're back at the Pavilion. But I was going to ask, what is it that keeps bringing you back? What keeps bringing you back to be involved in this production?
Well, as I said, you know, one of them is I think it's a really good show, right? Also, I'm a Celtic supporter. Yeah. There's an investment there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's almost like a duty of care.
Yeah.
To do a good job.
Yeah.
Do you know?
But being involved in something like that, when you care about it that much, you know, that's obviously, as an actor, it sort of adds another element to the work that you're doing.
I find it difficult. At the end of the show, there's lots of songs for people to join in with, but at the end of the show, we do, you know, walk on.
Yeah.
And I find it difficult emotionally to keep it together, but you've got to use you can't be roaring and greeting all the time, so you've got to use your training to, you know, remember that this is the first time they've seen it. Yeah. You know, I've been in it since the very beginning. Yeah. So, you know, you need to control yourself. Same with there's a memorial to Jinky. You know, I used to look at the screen. I used to look at the thing. It's because, you know, I knew Jinky, and I am so fortunate, by the way.
Absolutely.
Because you know, the idea that because it's a co-production with Celtic FC, we get Celtic ambassadors, which I just simply know as legends. Yeah. So I've had the honour of meeting absolute greats. Yeah. You know, I mean, Jinky I'd met long before through various fundraising stuff at Celtic Park and all the rest of it. I'll tell you what, for the weeest guy in the room, I felt like a giant beside him. The weeest guy in the room, you know, with the biggest personality.
Yeah,
you know, absolutely brilliant.
And talking about another person like that who we were just talking about before we came here onto the stage was Betty Auld, who we know that Betty obviously loved coming along to see Celtic the Musical, loved Celtic anyway, but you must have spent some wonderful moments with him.
I'll tell you what, right. I mean, I do other characters on stage. I do Fergus McCann and stuff like that, and I try to do that as an embodiment, right? So I don't go for laughs and anything. I go for this is the real deal. Or like Maurice Johnson, I just play him as the stupidest guy that ever lived. And so that's a total caricature and it's a bit of fun. Betty and I used to stand in the wings. Everybody would be gone after the show. They'd all be over in the Athol Arms having a glass of dry white wine. And I'd be in the wings with Betty and he'd be going, oh son, see the 60s. Oh, Locarno, the dancing, oh lovely fish tea. And I'm like going, I don't know anything about the Locarno. Couldn't talk to me about Jockstein. And he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant with me because he knew right away that I could engage in conversation regarding football and our history.
Yeah.
You know, this is one of the things that's really prevalent about this show as well. It's a linear story of a family. It's about refugees, which is, you know, extremely relevant today. And if anything, if you want to scratch the surface, the metaphor would be that Celtic is a family. So that you've got all these different generations, and that's a reflection of the audience.
Yeah.
And I've said to the cast many times that the audience are as much of a central character as any of we are.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about playing here. You know, when the Armadillo's smashing modern venue and all the rest of it, but there's a distance.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like, what would you say, if you were going to Hampden or whatever, there's a running track, you know, before you see the visuals. So it's the same here. There's no running track, it's like Celtic Park, you know what I mean? So they're right on top of you.
You can see that here as well. It's just that you can feel
amazing.
the intimacy of it as well.
It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to chat a wee bit more about the show itself and performing here. Like we said earlier, 4th of September, the run starts later this year. Just telling you that way you know you're meant to be here. But you were mentioning there, you know, you're a Celtic supporter. Before we started chatting, you were telling us you followed Celtic home and away for nigh on 30 years.
A long time. And I mean, I was saying to you that you know, you'd be a home and away. Home's fine, you know what I mean. But being an away supporter, it's not just dedication.
It's beyond that.
It's that. I think there's some mental problems going on there where you live for it.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? It's like you're up early, you go to your pub or whatever it is, meet up with your pals, get in the bus, go to the game, and it's. I mean, the game's the game.
Aye.
You know,
win,
lose or draw, you know. But you know, sometimes being in these, it's not just, you know, going to see Motherwell Celtic or whatever. It's going to Starks Park and all the rest of it. You know, these kind of games, miserable, cold. You know, Frank Connor used to manage. I remember watching Frank Connor was managing. He was managing Red Rovers one time. And Hamish McAlpine was in goals for them. I was thinking, there's a Celtic connection. I mean, Hamish McAlpine one's a bit tenuous.
I'm always curious when I'm speaking to Celtic supporters of, like, you know, looking back on your life supporting Celtic, who to you has been the standout player or players that you've stood in the terraces or sat in the stands and watched?
Well, Larsson, obviously. I mean, there was a whole spate of them. Larsson, Sutton, Hartson, very good. From my perspective in the 80s, it would be McStay. Oh, McStay. And then in the 70s, I'm a lot older. a lot older than I look. Would be Dalglish. You know what I mean? And there's a plethora of brilliant players have come through the ranks and come through that Celtic Academy, really Academy of Football. And you know, in more modern times, you would look at players like Kieran Tierney, for example. He's a good, and I'm so glad that he's coming back. You know,
and you just know that he's going to be here to see the Celtic musical as well.
Well, he's already been in. He's already seen it. I kind of got a bit. Do you know, as an actor, I've worked with lots of actors and musicians who are really famous, and I just kind of go, right, okay, bye, right, and hello, and all that sort of stuff, and it's just the job. But I definitely get weak-kneed round about football players. I do. I was like, get in, Katie. You know, I think he was like that. Jesus, man.
That's brilliant. I mean, let's come back towards what we're here chatting about today, which is obviously the Celtic the musical. Like we say, you've been involved in so many runs of it, but I'm interested to know, from your point of view as an actor, having performed a show so many times, and we know that it'll change just to keep up to date with what's happening, the current Celtic story. But from the actor's point of view, what keeps it fresh for you? Coming on stage every night. What keeps your kind of energy and focus switched on?
I think that a lot of that has to do with the audience. Because you are going to get reactions. I mean, one of the characters, the central character that I play we've all met this guy, where you go, wow, we've won the treble and all the rest of it. He's like, aye, but, maybe could be a bit faster or whatever. At one point, the character's talking about, Jimmy McGrory's like the British all-time goal scoring kicking, and my character's going, we didn't win that very much. So what you're getting then is the audience recognising that this is somebody they know, and so you're either going to get people shouting out, shut up you, or whatever, and then you will react to it, and that does keep it fresh. But also, as an actor, you're constantly thinking about, not constantly, but you are thinking about, I don't know, you just put your head up there and snatch at something, and the intent will change slightly.
Right, yeah.
And if it does that, then the other actors who are working with it feed off that.
Yeah.
So it keeps it electric. The stage should be like an electric plate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That you're, not that I want to show up to the actors or anything, but that you keep that, because that's what it's about. It's about energy. You know what I mean? You have to hit the stage at Mach 1, because they are so up for it. It's like, I'm standing in the wings over there before we come on, and you're hearing the Celtic song, full blast. I mean, it's like a football match, and full blast. In fact, Brendan Rodgers was asking me, excuse me a sec, Brendan Rodgers was asking me about, do you get nervous when you're standing there when you hear that noise? And I said, well, to be honest with you, what I try to do is use my training. So you take that nervous energy and you focus it into a positive thing. And I can see him going, right.
So do you think he stole that bit of advice from you?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if he's working with any of the younger boys who are coming through, he can say, try not to be intimidated by the noise. Maybe he does use that piece of wonderful advice.
I mean, it must be a wonderful thrill though, just in terms of that you're talking about standing in the wings. I know for anybody watching the podcast, they're seeing this beautiful theatre behind us. From where we're sitting, obviously we can see the wings, how close they are obviously to the audience. I'm interested though, you've been an actor for so long, had such a wide and varied career, theatre, TV, film and so on. But how does this audience, Celtic the Musical, it's going to be jam-packed full of Celtic supporters, a lot of singing and emotions. How does that vary from maybe doing a more sort of conventional, play or theatre show?
Completely different.
Is it different?
Completely different. It's a one-off experience. So, see if I wasn't a Celtic supporter, I reckon I'd still have that mindset of this is incredible. The energy that's generated. I mean, I was speaking to Jerry and I was saying the circle and all that, just bouncing, absolutely bouncing. It's like straight as quote at the Pav. No, I mean it is a one-off theatrical experience. But the thing is, you don't have to be a Celtic supporter to enjoy this story or be able to relate to it, because it is about poverty, it is about war. There's lots of moments in it that are, the tribute to John Thompson is just like, you can hear them crying, so it's like there's lots of laughs, there's lots of songs, there's lots of pathos. It's about understanding the good times and the bad times.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's not just about, oh, here we go, and we're all singing "You'll Never Walk Alone," and that's that. It's an actual history.
Yeah.
And that connection with the audience is tangible. You know.
And I'm assuming it's a privileged position to be in as a Celtic supporting actor, to have that kind of responsibility of telling the story to a theatre like this. We're a wee while out yet from the show taken to the stage. Have rehearsals started yet? When do they kick off? do you rehearse?
How long do you think rehearsals are?
I don't know.
I think rehearsals are about 10 days.
Oh, really?
So you've got to. Nah, I think rehearsals for this will be about 2 weeks and maybe half a production week or something like that. So you've got to turn up prepared, know your stuff, and it's hard. It's hard work. And that first night is always, as Alex Ferguson would say, squeaky bum time.
Yeah, I can bet. I imagine. And I'm assuming there's a real excitement and buzz to be back on stage with the show.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Brilliant.
I'm so honoured to be part of this.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done all my. Well, it's not that I'm finished with it, but you know, I've done sort of take yourself seriously acting. I've got a master's in classical and contemporary text. I've also done a lot of TV and film and stuff like that. This is a different experience for me as an actor, and that is unusual. That is unusual.
Yeah.
It is different every night. It's bonkers. It's such a good show. The songs are terrific. The band are amazing.
Yeah.
And I get to wear a dress as Patsy Gallagher.
Do you keep the bonnet on? No.
Well, that's strictly Fergus time.
Brilliant. Well, listen, you've done a great job of not that it needed sold, but of selling the show. I can't actually wait to come here and see it live. It's going to be, sensational. Oh, brilliant. Good. I can't wait. I was hoping I was angling for that. Do you know what I mean? I'll stand in for Betty.
Right.
Our stories might not be as good, but
superb, man.
Listen, thank you very much for talking to us today, and thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the official Celtic FC podcast. Make sure you keep up to date with all the news that's coming from Celtic the Musical, and make sure come September that you're here at the Pavilion Theatre to see the show live. Thank you very much, and hail hail.